It's 32 days to the presidential and parliamentary elections. Hello and welcome to Joy News Prime. I am Samuel Kojo Brace. I align this Confusion Rocks front of Ekua Donko's Ghana Freedom Party, in which two factions within the party sent contradictory letters to the EC over its participation in the 2024 election with barely 30 days to go.
We made a decision that we are not going to contest for this year 2024. I've decided with the NET and the family, the Cholera family, that after we finish, we set up the 1 week before we can make a decision for next contest.
We have details of the two separate letters from factions within the party as the dispute within the party presents major consequences for the arrangement of candidates for the crucial presidential race.
Without our consent, if the General Secretary went for the submission without our national organizer, he alone went to submit the document.
So what is next for the electoral process? We have exclusive details plus speak to the EC, who are currently holding a crunch meeting to take a decision. Also tonight, Attorney General moves to amend relevant laws to make Ghana the seat of arbitration in all contractual disputes involving the state, as he cites the vulnerability of arbitration to fraud and abuse.
Certain glaring dangers that I think arbitration portends for Ghana and the developing world, which seem to overlook. Whilst arbitration is started to assure neutrality, privacy, and efficiency in the adjudication of disputes, arbitral claims filed against the government, if not diligently managed, have the tendency to collapse the entire Ghanaian economy.
We have details plus his revelation that several arbitration disputes involving Ghana could have totally collapsed the country's economy after demands were made running into billions of dollars.
Arbitral claims filed against the government, if not diligently managed, have the tendency to collapse the entire Ghanaian economy.
Now, confusion has rocked the Ghana Freedom Party over its participation in the 2024 presidential elections. It has 1 week since its founder and flag bearer, Ekua Donko, died, with the EC giving the party 10 days to present a new candidate. Now, with a few days for the deadline to expire, factions within the party have presented contradictory letters to the Electoral Commission as to the party's participation in the political process. On Monday, the party, through its General Secretary, informed the EC it intends to replace Madam Ekua Donko, and as in the last few hours, presented the running mate, Philip Apiakobi, as its new candidate. But the organizer of the party has also written to the EC, insisting the party has withdrawn from the presidential race. There is a lot to unpack for you in this raging controversy, which has significant consequences on the arrangement of all the parties and candidates going into the election, which is only 32 days away. Let's start with a letter to the EC signed by the General Secretary, George Afful. Now, in this letter, it says, I hereby write to inform the Commission that the party has duly nominated Mr. Philip Apiakobi to replace our late presidential candidate for the 2024 elections. He says his name is hereby submitted to the Commission in line with your request in the letter and that reference. So, and he continues to say the nomination of our new presidential candidate will be filed by the party within the stipulated time frame in accordance with the law. So that's the letter coming from the General Secretary. But just as the nation was coming to terms with this filing and this letter from the General Secretary, another letter surfaced, this time signed by the organizer of the party, Richard Butcher, informing the EC that they have decided to withdraw from the race. Let's share with you that details of that letter as well. And this letter also talks about the fact that they have decided, in consultation with the family of the deceased founder of the party, decided to withdraw from this particular contest. It says that the National Executive Committee of the party, Ghana Freedom Party, GFP, in consultation with the family of our late flag bearer, Madam Ekua Donko, has decided to withdraw from the impending December parliamentary and presidential elections. Now, it again says this decision, irrespective of how difficult it may be, has been reached to posthumously honor the commitment and sacrifices by our late founder and presidential candidate as the only person to send a candidature to grave. We are, by this letter, formally informing the Commission of our intention not to participate in the election. So this is the letter coming. It says that any inconveniences that this decision may have caused the commission and its calendar for the December 7 elections is deeply regretted. We will be ready to participate in any future elections organized by the Electoral Commission. Count on your usual cooperation. So this was a letter signed by the party's organizer. Well, Joy News has been speaking to the party officials who have signed these documents. First, listen to what the General Secretary has been telling us.
Secretary George, and I can tell you that we have successfully filed our nomination form at 107 at EC. So you can check from the EC and verify it with our pieces, 4 pieces that GFP have, Tafo Pankrono, Isamamadu Ajiri, and other 2 constituencies. They were all there. All our 4 pieces were there. So in the picture that is circulating, you can see them.
What about your National Executive Committee members? I'm
the Chief Executive of the party. It is not true.
And this filing also has the blessings of the family of the late Madam Ikuadonko.
Does the EC deal with family or that it deals with the party? The EC has wrote to the party that we have 10 days to replace our late founder and flag bearer.
Okay.
And the party has done exactly that. So if the EC wanted to deal with the family, fine.
So that we can also now listen to the organizer of the party who is insisting the party is not contesting.
Made a decision that we are not going to contest for this year 2024 because we lost our founder of the party. And we haven't even taken the decision for even the 1 week observation yet. So we have decided with the net and and the family, the Cholera family, that after we finish, we set up the 1 week before we can make a decision for next year. That is the proposal we have made for the next year contesting of the election of 2028. This year, we are not going to contest. We wasn't aware with the decision we took and the submission of the presidential nominee to the EC.
If you say you weren't aware, who wasn't aware?
Oh, the next and the next and I wasn't aware of the decision they made this morning.
So let's deal with more on this particular story. And George Afolis, the General Secretary of the party, joins us now. George, I'm grateful to you for joining us. First of all, I want to understand how many of your National Executive Committee, did you consult or gave their blessing prior to your filing? Hello, George. George Afolis, I want to find out from you whether or not, your National Executive Committee gave their blessings to your filing today.
Yes. Hello?
We're listening to you, sir.
Are you talking to me or are you on the other side of the phone?
No, I am talking to you directly.
As George, the General Secretary?
Yes, as the General Secretary, yes.
Yes. I want to put out one statement. As I'm speaking to you now, Ghana Freedom Party national organizer position is vacant. We don't have a national organizer.
Oh.
Period.
Since when was this decision taken that your national organizer position became vacant?
Joy, I don't want to waste your time. Look, I've told you earlier on, if the EC want to deal with the family, they should go ahead. Period.
No. We just want education. Now you are just saying that
it's not about, look, GFP, we have successfully our nomination today at EC exactly 107. So if you need more clarification, go to EC.
No, I just want to find out one.
As the General Secretary of the party, I am telling you that there is no such position. It's vacant. So if you want to engage other people, fine.
No.
But
listen,
that's the news that I'm giving it to you. I don't want to engage anybody. I don't want to engage anybody, please.
No, we are not engaging anyone. I'm engaging with you. It's you and I. We want to be educated. You've just said that.
That's why, respectfully, because of the respect that I have for Kwesi Twum, that's why I'm granting this interview.
All right, that's fine. If you don't want to talk, it's fine. Let's end this conversation here. Now, away from that, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey Adame, is tonight moving to have arbitration in all contractual disputes involving the state dealt with here in Ghana. Currently, disputes between the state and companies that are being arbitrated are handled outside of Ghana, especially in Western countries. Now, citing the vulnerability of arbitration to fraud and abuse, Godfrey Adame says efforts are underway to amend the Contract Act to make Ghana the seat of all arbitration involving the state. He was speaking at the first ever public sector lawyers conference here in Accra.
Must reform the laws governing arbitration and the institution of civil claims against the state, whilst taking a critical look at contracting and contract management on behalf of the state. Mr. President, as I recently noted at the African Regional Forum at the International Bar Association Conference held in Mexico City, Mexico, we cannot discount the prejudice Ghana and the whole of Africa in general often suffers in international arbitration fora. It is quite curious that in some instances, companies which fail to make out any claim in our domestic courts succeed in extremely huge international arbitration actions, sometimes mounted on the back of contracts which have failed to receive the relevant statutory and constitutional approvals of the countries in which they operate. This phenomenon is not because of a weakness of judicial systems of African countries, or indeed Ghana's, but simply because of the nature of international arbitration, particularly the secrecy of proceedings, flexibility of rules, and the finality or non-appealability of awards, which I've just referred to. It should not be misconstrued as saying that Ghana or any African nation should shy away from international arbitration. Far from that. However, the vulnerability of arbitration to abuse and fraud highlights the necessity for more robust safeguards in commercial disputes involving state parties, where the hard purse of the nation is at stake. We must boost the integrity of our legal systems by setting up fair and efficient mechanisms for commercial dispute adjudication and strengthening the systems for the conduct of arbitration in our respective countries. But I still recognize that there's a need to make further reform to the pursuit of arbitration against the state. Thus, I recently presented to Cabinet a proposed amendment to the State Property and Contract Act of 1960 to compel all contracts involving the state and its agencies as parties to not only stipulate Ghana law as a governing law, but also to have Ghana as a seat of arbitration, and with the ADR Center in Ghana being the venue for the arbitration.
Now, the Attorney General says Ghana's economy would have collapsed if some arbitration challenges against the state succeeded. According to him, the state would have paid in excess of $9 billion in international arbitral awards, with about 16 trillion cedis in local actions filed against the state.
There are certain glaring dangers that I think arbitration portends for Ghana and the developing world, which seem to overlook it. Whilst arbitration is started to assure neutrality, privacy, and efficiency in the adjudication of disputes, arbitral claims filed against the government, if not diligently managed, have the tendency to collapse the entire Ghanaian economy. A single arbitral claim, if successful, can bring the economy of a developing country as Ghana to its knees. In point of fact, over the past 4 years, the value of arbitral claims against the Republic has been in excess of $9 billion. And I cite a few to illustrate the point. The financial claim by ANI Vitor against Ghana, which was initially $7 billion and subsequently reduced to $915 million after challenge in the course of proceedings by Ghana. In fact, any of these amounts, $7 billion or $950 million, could have collapsed the Ghanaian economy. By the grace of God, this financial claim was recently dismissed in its entirety by the International Arbitral Tribunal. Cassius Banning's Limited's claim against the government of Ghana has a value of about $300 million. GCNet's arbitral claim involves a claim of over 4 billion Ghana cedis, the equivalent of about $250 million. The recently filed Eland arbitration claim against the government of Ghana also involves a claim of over $320 million. These are just a sample of a few of the international arbitration claims against Ghana. Domestically, there have been claims in Ghana in excess of over 15 trillion Ghana cedis. successfully defended by the Office of Attorney General against the state.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo says he is committed to ensure lawyers in the public sector are well-resourced to deliver on their responsibilities.
My government's commitment to the legal sector extends to the development of infrastructure, is evidenced by the construction of 100 courthouses across the country and the development of 121 residential units nationwide for judges, alongside the construction of the magnificent 10-story law house in Accra, which will soon house the Office of the Attorney General. We're also undertaking the historic endeavor of calling some 4,500 lawyers to the bar since October 2021, doubling the legal workforce in our country. Looking ahead, I'm inspired by the Attorney General's vision for a law house in each region, creating dedicated spaces for public legal services across Ghana. This vision of a strong, united legal framework is the legacy we aim to build. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the bar, as public sector lawyers, the path we walk is one that demands courage, commitment, integrity, and a ceaseless pursuit of excellence. This conference is a testimony to the value we place on your contributions and the recognition that without a strong legal backbone, our public service cannot function at its highest potential. Government is committed to supporting your development, ensuring that our legal teams are well prepared to face the challenges of our time.
This is the Ojo News Prime. Now, health authorities in the Ashanti region are increasing preventive measures against the outbreak and possible spread of cholera. This comes as the Ghana Health Service confirmed 9 cholera cases in the Adan East District of the Greater Accra region. Public education has been identified as key to either preventing an outbreak or breaking the transmission of this waterborne disease. Ohemin Terry of our health desk has more in the following report.
Director General of Ghana Health Services, Dr. Patrick Kumar Abwaji, in a release, detailed response measures being undertaken by the service to prevent further spread of cholera. Though the Ashanti region is yet to confirm a case, health authorities have heightened preventive measures. Regional Health Director Dr. Fred Adomako-Boateng says his outfit is concerned with developments in Greater Accra region, since the Ashanti region shares similar demographics, including economic and business activities. He tells Joy News health authorities are on high alert to avert a possible outbreak.
As we speak, I think the only region that have gotten confirmed cases is actually Greater Accra region. But the disease of such nature, you cannot sit aloof. Looking at the dynamic nature of how the population move from one area to other, then it means that all of us should be prepared and then preempt preventive measures to make sure that you don't really record.
Health authorities are advocating strict infection prevention control practices in public places such as schools, banks and hospitals. Dr. Adomako-Boateng is encouraging residents to stick to good hygiene and basic practices like hand washing and avoid eating cold foods.
Cholera is a disease that can be prevented, and there are tried and tested ways that we can prevent it. The best one, as a mother, if you take care of your kids when they have used the private, wherever you are going, the best thing that you have to do is just wash your hands, especially with running water and soap.
Meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Health Directorate is canvassing for public support to ensure cholera-free society. From Kumasi, For Joy News, Ohiminteria reporting.
This is Joy News Prime. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more stories, so please do stay. Welcome back from the break. Now, the Minister for Education, Dr. Yaosei Adichum, has announced plans to make senior high schools education compulsory under the free SHS bill introduced in Parliament. If passed, the bill would require all eligible students to complete SHS, marking a significant step toward universal access to secondary education. Speaking at the National Tertiary Education Conference held at the University of Ghana, Dr. Yaosei Adichum noted the move is to boost enrollment and bridge educational gaps across the country.
You look at junior high school transition rate in Ghana today, last year, the just ended academic year, 95% of students in the northern region move on to junior high school to high school. 94% of students in the northeast and Savannah moved on from junior high school to high school. 92% of students in Upper East moved on from junior high school to high school. Upper West, 89%. That is the lowest in the north. 89% of the students who were eligible and who had been offered spaces moved on from junior high school to high school. But the lowest in the north is higher than the rate of any of the regions in the south. There's a growing trend here where there's a widening gap between the north and the south in terms of participation in secondary education. The north, all the regions together, are ahead of the whole country. Voter rating is the lowest, 76%. So nearly 20% difference between the north and voter rating. If this trend continues, the next 20 years you have to do an affirmative action to support the south. Central rating is about 78%. Ashanti and Accra, Greater Accra, 87%. But when you dive deep to the districts within Ashanti, you're going to realize that places like Adansia, Sokwa will give you about 65%. 65% means there's a 30% disparity between the north and that particular district in terms of moving up into secondary education space. So if you heard about the bill in Parliament about the free secondary education bill, the goal is to ensure that we create a free, compulsory, universal secondary education regime in Ghana. It's a very important aspect of the bill. That it will not be something that children who are not 18 have a choice in, saying that I'm not going to secondary school and I'm going to stay at home.
Dr. Yaosei Adichum added that government is determined to hit 40% gross tertiary enrollment by 2030 to improve socio-economic development of the country.
When it comes to research, you know, and the research is clear, that higher education is critical for national development and transformation. It is known, for example, that a 10% increase in gross tertiary enrollment ratio leads to 2 to 4% GDP growth and 5.3% increase in labor productivity. So when you increase gross tertiary enrollment ratio, you lay foundation for socio-economic transformation of your nation. Therefore, our government is determined by 2030 we will have a gross tertiary enrollment ratio of 40%. If we're able to attain this, and if we're able to provide quality tertiary education and relevant tertiary education, we'll be moving ourselves into the higher income brackets of nations around the world.
Well, let's do more on this. Peter Ante, Dr. Peter Ante is education economist and executive director for the iFirst Ghana. He joins us via Zoom. Now, Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us. Now, what's your reaction to making senior high schools compulsory for all those who qualify?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. I think it's a progressive decision. If you look at the 2016 manifesto of the NPP, they indicated that they will redefine basic education to include senior high schools. I think they tried to do that, but they had a little problem with some of the issues in the constitution. So if there is a plan to make secondary education free and compulsory, which means that when a child enters an education sector in the country from kindergarten, the endpoint will be SHS 3. It means that in some years to come, the least qualification of any person you meet in this country would be a senior high school certificate. That is a very progressive decision that I think we need to embrace.
But I mean, even when we have numbers going and some dropping, we've seen the challenges posed by infrastructure. Are we there yet?
Yes, for being there yet, there wouldn't be any ideal time to do any of these things. But I think we have to learn from what we experienced with the FQ. You know, when we introduced the FQ, as an basic school, it's supposed to be free and compulsory. But we know that there are a lot of kids on the streets, there are a lot of kids that are not accessing education. And even those who are accessing education, there are serious infrastructure challenges, as you have said it. So we should also learn from the challenges that we have seen with the implementation of FQ and make moves to ensure that every child gets access to secondary education. For me, that is a very important aspect of our education system, that in some years to come, every child that you meet in this country will have a basic qualification, being senior high school. We need to put certain measures in place and ensure how we will be able to operationalize it. You've talked about infrastructure. We also have to look at what certification are we giving these people, because if the person even completes SHS and the person fails WASI, the person cannot continue his or her life. So we need to look at our whole assessment regime. I think something that the new curriculum is trying to address. And then also find ways and means to ensure that there's a smooth transition from JHS to senior high school. All these are issues, operational issues that we need to discuss broadly and then find ways and means to ensure that every child terminates his or her education at the senior high school 3 level.
So why must we take away the examination like WAEC?
Well, there have been several proposals as to how we can handle this. For me, I think that doing almost 14 years of education in this country, like you spend 14 years attending education, assessing schooling in this country, you should not be given what WAEC gives you, which for me is a transcript that indicates your grades, and there should be a certificate of completion, and then we can look at WAEC's own system as some sort of transcript that is given to students who want to pursue further education at the tertiary level. But for those who would terminate the education at the senior high school level, I think there should be a certificate of completion that they can use to enter the world of work or any place that they want to go. But for now, as you get your WAEC certificate, your E's are all on it, and no employer would want to employ you with your E's and your D pluses all straight all over your certificate. So we should have a certificate of completion for people who complete senior high school, and then we can also talk about the transcript system, which I think the new curriculum is trying to implement, where your grades would be displayed on it, so that if you want to progress or want to apply for admission for tertiary education, you use your certificate of completion and your transcript for that. But for somebody who does not have the opportunity to continue, he can use his certificate of completion to apply for something small that he would want to do.
Dr. Peter Ante, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, still staying in the education sector, the University of Cape Coast Chancellor, Dr. Sam Jonah, has voiced serious concerns about Ghana's education system, criticizing its tendency to produce graduates who excel primarily in memorization, often described as chew and paw, while lacking in critical thinking, creativity, and innovative skills essential for the modern job market. Speaking at the Graphic National Development Series, Dr. Sam Jonah called for a shift towards an education system that focuses on analytical thinking and hands-on experience, urging schools and universities to cultivate skills like problem solving, adaptability, and mindset geared towards innovation.
We need a shift from a focus on grades to nurturing leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs capable of transforming our economy. Let me just say that all of us have to be troubled by the recent government decision to institutionalize the purchasing of past examination questions, papers, for distribution to students. This must be the very first law. Regrettably, this decision in itself formalizes our reliance on rote learning and memorization at the expense of content comprehension and innovative thinking. We are training our future leaders to repeat or rehash their past, to rely on shortcuts, and to fear failure rather than embrace learning. We are training them to cut corners, to replicate and recite instead of understanding, innovating, and producing. We are lowering the standards of our children's education. Ladies and gentlemen, at the entrance of a university in South Africa, the following message was clearly posted for contemplation, and I quote, "Destroying any nation does not require the use of atomic bombs or the use of long-range missiles. It only requires lowering the quality of education and allowing cheating in the examinations by the students."
Ghanaian institutions and workers need to focus on outcomes and not operational processes to break barriers and create opportunities for all. That's according to the Minister of Education, Dr. Yao Osei Edichum. Now, he says, in a country that prioritizes results, citizens access individuals not by their educational background, but by the outcomes they achieve. Speaking at the graduation ceremony of Jackson University College in Kumasi, he encouraged graduates to be resolute in their effort to be change makers. Here's a report.
As you graduate this batch of students, you are graduating them into an education space that is fast changing.
The Education Minister spoke on the theme Inspiring Futures, Empowering Lives, the transformative power of distance learning. He urged Ghanaians to foster greater unity to drive national development.
We cannot have two Ghanas, Ghana for the rich, Ghana for the poor. I foresee a day where the children of judges and laborers will sit in the same classroom and they will study together. We create a more united nation, a more united country. The laborer's son may visit the judge's son on his birthday, see where the judge lives and say to himself, one day I want to be a judge. That is the country we need to create. That is the country I see us creating. And that is what we have begun.
The minister noted that it is often convenient in Africa to blame challenges on poverty. However, he believes that what is truly lacking is a vision for progress.
You see, sometimes it's easy in Africa to excuse poverty for your predicament. But what we use poverty as an excuse for is lack of vision. When we have a vision, things can change. So as graduates, I want you to go out there. In the face of challenges, do your best. Say to yourself, you produce the next African Einstein. Be determined. And when you are determined, you're going to make the best out of your experience with the children.
The principal of Jackson University College, Mrs. Tudusia Jackson, encouraged graduates to persist in their pursuit of knowledge and find their own unique ways to contribute to the country's development.
Jackson University College has kick-started your journey for a brighter future. The onus lies on you to work hard to prove yourselves as holistically trained, disciplined products of the institution.
A report by Mohamed Nuruddin.
This is still Joy News Prime. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more. Please do stay. Well, flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has urged Ghanaian voters to reject the National Democratic Congress and its presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama, in the upcoming December 7 general elections. Speaking at a rally in the Ashanti region, Dr. Bawumia described the election as a choice between two different futures for Ghana, urging voters to choose the NPP as the party to deliver a brighter future for the country.
On Bahadium, and yes, ɔmampani a mɛtumi di ɔmampani efie wɔkye nti efie nandu a yiza masamba etwuma ha ababu akunta ama mo ɛnyɛ saa nti na yɛ mi ho abɔ edwumaden ɛnyɛ saa na ɔsi ɔpɛ sɛ ɔsamba bio mopɛ sɛ ɔsamba bio yɛmpɛ sɛ ɔsamba bio nti December the 7th yɛnyere yɛ ho obiara mpie pɔwɔ ɔdamfo ɔnyɔnko wonua mo nyinaa yɛmpie nkɔ polling stations yɛdaakye aba na yɛrekɔto no yɛdaakye aba na yɛmma no mba biom ɔbɛsɛe yɛdaakye ama yɛn yɛnani adom ɔno reba mede nhyehyɛ foforɔ ɛreba Ghana mebɛsesa Ghana.
And that's our package for you tonight. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Up next is Prime Business. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Thanks for your time.